Hello and welcome to productlessons.com. I'm Ravi, and in this channel, I share notes on interesting product and business growth strategies. The notes are in the form of mind maps, the most preferred form for mental retention, and it's available for free to download. The links are in the description below. This is episode 3, and you may have noticed some new bells and whistles with new design, and I have a new mic set as well. So the first episode was an MVP, and now I'm iterating a bit. So in this episode, I'm going to be sharing my notes on product model framework to build a 100 million plus business or a product. Now, you all must have heard about product market framework. This is about product model framework, and that's exactly why I got curious about this topic. And I'm going to share what I learned. Let's begin by sharing my mind maps. So I have been consuming a lot of content on growth hacking from Brian Balfour. Now, Brian was the VP of growth from HubSpot, and today he's the founder of Reforge. Brian wrote a very popular series on the 4 growth framework to build a 100 million product. He has been part of around 40 plus tech companies, and in 10 years, some of them were $100 million companies as well. Now, according to Brian, he challenges 2 well-known conventions. According to him, he says, great products doesn't guarantee success. Some terrible products reach 100 million too. Now, usually, if you have been to forums or panel discussions, whenever a question comes on how to get growth, most obvious answer always that is thrown out to people is, you know what, you ought to have a good product, a great product. And Brian says having a great product is great, but that's not always sufficient. And he gives an example where some of the terrible products reach 100 million, but the best products do not sometimes. He gave an example of Workday, which is worth $20 billion. And the world knows that is not one of the greatest products. And the second convention that he challenged was product market fit is also not sufficient to have 100 million plus growth. And he explains this with 4 frameworks, and I'm here to share those 4 growth frameworks. So what are the 4 growth framework? Number 1, market product fit. Now you might have noticed the altered pairing of the term product market fit. So this is not a typo or something. This is actually a deliberate way to rephrase product market fit into market product fit. And the reason Brian thinks market product fit is a better way to state, because he thinks that we as entrepreneurs should think about market and problem first, and then we see how we can fit a product or a solution to that. The second one is product channel fit. And he says the products are built to fit with channels, and channels are not built to fit with products. The third one is channel model fit, which is specific channels fit with specific models. And I'm going to explain what does a model mean. The fourth one is model market fit. Your model must fit with the market's pain and perceived value of your solution. So these are the 4 frameworks that he said. And I'm going to be doing 4 different episodes to talk about each of these frameworks. For this one, I start with model market fit. And to explain that, let's try to understand what model market fit means. Model market fit is the concept that your market and the number of customers within your market influence your model. But what's a model again? A model has 2 components. Number 1, how you charge your customers. Number 2, what's the average annual revenue per user. How you charge your customers could be many ways of monetization, right? It could be free that you monetize with ads. It could be freemium that you monetize with. So you have a free version, and you might have a paid on top of that. Then there are transactional models, and then there are free trials, and then there are upfront prices that you pay upfront for 1 year at least. The second equation of a model is your average annual revenue per user. Now, sometimes you might be challenged on why average annual revenue and why not the lifetime value of a customer. And the reason Brian considers average annual revenue as a bigger metric is because most startups need payback period less than 1 year. And this is because if it's more than 1 year, you will need more cash to fund your growth. So this is briefly what a model is, and you will get to understand the import of a model when we talk about model market fit. So as I said, in model market fit, your market and number of customers in your market influence your model. And I will explain this with an example here. All right, so before I explain this graphic, let me give due credits to the graphic. This comes from 9 Point Capital. They are a VC firm, and I took this graphic from them. They were the first ones to present this model to the world. And as you can see, in the x-axis, there is number of customers that you need to reach 100 million revenues. And on the y-axis, it is average revenue per user per year. So let's try to understand what each of these categories mean. So to create a $100 million product, you need to fall in one of these categories. And these categories are named after animals, which is a great mental model to remember. Number one is elephants, then moose, rabbits, mice, and flies. Let's try to understand what each of them mean. So elephants are the products that serve close to 1,000 customers, where each customer pay close to 100K per year. These are usually fall in enterprise customers, and a good example for that is a product like ServiceNow. The next one is Moose, and these are the products that usually serve for around 10,000 customers who pay close to $10,000 per year, and it's valid for mid-market segment. And the best example here is of HubSpot, which offers marketing products for startups. The next one here is Rabbits, which are product that serves close to 100,000 customers who pay around $1,000 per year. So what kind of products fall under this category? It could be SurveyMonkey, MailChimp, and Gusto is again for small businesses that takes care of employee onboarding and other services for employees. Next is Mice, and you would have guessed it's close to 1 million customers paying $100 per year, and the target is prosumers, which is professional consumers, as you can imagine. And what are the kind of products do Mice have? It would be products like Dropbox, Dollar Shave Club, or Ipsy. Ipsy is, they provide makeup kits in a subscription box. All right, what have we got next? Flies. Flies would be, as you would have guessed, after 1 million. So we are multiplying it by the order of 10. So 10 million customers with $10 per year. Mostly this is falling under consumer products. And usually these products are free. You make money through ads. So let's see what are the examples here. Again, as you would have guessed, Facebook, BuzzFeed, Snapchat, most of these products are free, but a lot of money is made through ad revenues. And an average revenue of $10 per customer is how these products make money. So as you can see, this is a phenomenal way of segmenting your market and your product, and is a great way to model your business. And if you ever think of introducing a product, this is a great template for you to fit yourself and see, are you an elephant or a moose or a rabbit or a mice or a fly? So the second graphic here is about making more sense of this model market fit threshold. So as you can see, there's a line that is drawn just to divide this model market fit into two areas. And how do we get these two areas? This comes with an equation to find yourself where you lie on that graph. So how do you measure whether you have achieved a model market fit or not? It tells you with this equation. And the formula of this equation is quite simple. So your average revenue per user into total customers in the market multiplied by percentage of the market that you can think you can capture. And if that value is more than 100 million, then you are on the right side of the line, which means you have achieved model market fit. And if you do not get 100 million, if it's less than 100 million, then you fall on the left-hand side of the line, and it tells you that you have not reached the threshold. So how would you know what percentage of market you can capture? So usually the rule of thumb is most SaaS businesses without any kind of network effects capture around 10% of the existing market. So that's a good rule of thumb. But of course, there are some products who have a market share much more than 10%. The one name that comes to me is Salesforce. So yeah, but if you are a new entrant and if there are other regular SaaS products, you should keep yourself to a limit of 10%. That's how it works. Average revenue per user is something you would not know if you're not in the business yet, but a good way to measure ARPU is through willingness to pay test. And usually, if your ARPU is way too less, it is an indicator that you should increase the price. So yeah, so that's a brief summary of one of the 4 frameworks, the model market fit. I hope you liked it. In the next 3 episodes, I'm going to cover market product fit, product channel fit, and the channel model fit. I hope you liked it. If you have questions, you can add your questions in the comment section. And if you do not want to miss out on the next episodes, do click the subscribe button. See you again in the next episode. Bye-bye.